Hello, thank you for joining us on the Nikki Maduro Show. I am Nikki Maduro. She is Kim McAllister. Thank you for joining us on this crazy news day Thursday. Hit that like and subscribe button. Raise your glasses because every day is a drinking day, but especially this time in history. And thank you everybody for being present last week when we were recorded. Thank you to Aaron Weiss for being on with us. It was an interesting conversation. If you haven't seen it, please go back and watch it. We were talking about the national parks. And just thank you all for being there. I would be remiss though by not acknowledging somebody that was on with us yesterday. Oh, well, why is it over our pictures? How is this? It was Kim McAllister's birthday, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Last weekend. I'm just going to take it over us again.
I'm old
Happy
now.
birthday, my darling. I
Thank
did not
you.
say it last week. I just want to take a time
You're
in
so
case anybody
nice.
didn't know. It was our
Thank
gorgeous
you.
friends. Happy birthday. Did you do anything fun for your birthday?
Yeah, my family took me out to dinner and, that kind of thing.
What did you eat?
I had I get the same thing every year on my birthday. I'm so predictable and boring. I got this thing called Sachetto Vegetariano.
Ooh,
Apparently,
it sounds yummy. Italian, I'm assuming.
Sachetto means pocket. And so picture like one giant ravioli. Or
Is it a hot pocket?
Yeah. Yes, it's almost like a hot pocket, but it's like a giant ravioli, it's not fried or anything. And then inside was just this mixture of vegetables and the sauce, and I like it. So I get it every year.
I am so happy that you mentioned something kind of Italian. I was going to wait, and I'll remind you guys at the end, but if anyone's in my neck of the woods tomorrow, there is this place, and I put it on my Facebook page. It's called Tony DiMaggio's Pizza. And my husband drags me there all the time. And they have they're known for their stromboli. Okay.
Oh, okay.
You know what a stromboli is, right? It is, and it's kind of like the same thing, but it's not. Well, I'll share the story towards the end of the show, but I'll tell you real quickly. Their business burned down in a fire. COVID and everything happened, and it was really hard for them to rebuild. Well, they've finally done it. They had a GoFundMe that I shared on my Facebook page, and they're reopening tomorrow. And so I'm going to go, and I'm going to have dinner. And so if anybody is in the neck of the woods, I'm thinking 6:30-ish. So if anybody is there, if anybody's in the South Bay, you can definitely go to the Nikki Maduro Show Facebook page. All the details are there. I'll throw them up at the end of the show as well. It's really, really good. Phineas is saying, nobody beats Zachary's stuffed pizza. No freaking buddy. All right. I'm not going to fight anybody over this. I'm just saying Tony DiMaggio's stromboli is really, really good. My husband always likes it with the sauce. And it's awesome to see a local business, literally rise from the ashes. So anyways, we'll revisit that. But I'm glad that you had a nice, happy birthday and you were spoiled.
Yeah,
and it's Father's Day this weekend. And I don't know about you, but I am telling you, with everything that's been going on in the news, and then my son's graduation and his birthday, and he's leaving for Washington, D.C. on Monday.
Oh, busy, yeah.
My mind has been like, and then I know I've been getting reminders. I have his Father's Day card in my drawer because at least I know that. But if the radio did not remind me, I'm like, oh my God. I need to spoil my husband. Thankfully, he's a very easy guy and he probably just wants to relax or whatever. But it's Father's Day coming up, guys. So don't forget the best dads in the world. We are going to talk about it right now. So we cannot forget about Alex Padilla. So if you've been under a rock today, our Department of Homeland Security, Barbie, had a press conference today because obviously everything is it's getting more and more elevated in Los Angeles. And she wanted to have a press conference. Now, I haven't played this for Kim because she hasn't seen it yet. I'm going to play the beginning of this press conference before we get to Senator Padilla. Because there's a lot of attention on Padilla. Okay. If you haven't heard, there was a scuffle. Okay. I'm not trying to blow it for anyone that hasn't seen it. But what's shocking to me, besides that, is what Kristi Noem says. And I'm going to play it for you because the fact, this is, and it's rebuffing, so I'm going to say something before this. The reason why I'm shocked by what she is saying is because of what's going on in LA, and we can debate this afterwards. This is a problem of Donald Trump's, and that's what Governor Newsom and a lot of people are saying, is that we didn't ask for this. You're allowed to protest, but Donald Trump has made things escalated. So now just listen to what Barbie has to say right here. Here we go. Here we go.
And the officers and the agencies and the departments and the military people that are working on this operation will continue to sustain and increase our operations in this city. We are not going away. The Department of Homeland
Homeland... not going away. We are not going away. Let's just play
what
that
is
one more
that?
time.
What does that mean?
Officers and the agencies and the departments and the military people that are working on this operation will continue to sustain and increase our operations in this city. We are not going away.
Keep listening.
We are staying here to liberate this city from the socialist and the burdensome leadership that this governor and that this mayor have placed on this country, and what they have tried to insert into this city.
And that's why Padilla steps up.
Thank you to every single person that has been able to do this. Also, I want to talk specifically to the rioters and to the politicians in Los Angeles.
Oh, this isn't a good angle, but this is when Senator Padilla
I also want to talk about
is being taken out. Now, we can obviously bring a better video of it. No wonder Senator Padilla takes that moment to stand up. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, he was interrupting a press conference. Listen to what she was just saying.
I had heard word earlier, someone in a chat, so this is not official and I didn't corroborate it, but someone said, oh, well, he was cuffed because he kept lunging at her. I didn't see anyone lunging during that press conference. I didn't see her being put at risk. And what Senator Padilla said later after this whole ordeal, where he was forcibly pushed out of this room into a hallway, shoved to the floor, and zip-tied, a United States senator representing us in California for asking a question. What he said is he's been trying to reach out to her to ask her these specific questions and she won't respond. So he decided to go to the press conference and ask them. Apparently, a United States senator cannot ask a question or get any information.
Right.
I have do you want a different angle on this, or do you want to let's hear what he had to say.
Okay, let's listen to him.
Because I think it's important to hear this from his perspective. I'm still shocked that this even happened.
Good afternoon, everybody. Senator Alex Padilla. You guys have some questions. I'm going to read a brief statement. I will not be taking questions, but allow me to read my statement. I'm here in Los Angeles today, and I was here in the federal building, in the conference room, awaiting a scheduled briefing from federal officials as part of my responsibility as a senator to provide oversight and accountability. While I was waiting for the briefing with General Guillot, I learned that Secretary Noem was having a press conference a couple of doors down the hall. Since the beginning of the year, but especially over the course of recent weeks, several of my colleagues have been asking the Department of Homeland Security for more information and more answers on their increasingly extreme immigration enforcement actions. And we've gotten little to no information in response to our inquiries. And so I came to the press conference to hear what she had to say, to see if I could learn any new additional information. And at one point, I had a question. And let me emphasize, just as we've emphasized the right for people to peacefully protest and to stand up for their First Amendment rights, for our fundamental rights. I was there peacefully. At one point, I had a question. And so I began to ask a question. I was almost immediately forcibly removed from the room. I was forced to the ground, and I was handcuffed. I was not arrested. I was not detained. I will say this. If this is how this administration responds to a senator with a question, if this is how the Department of Homeland Security responds to a senator with a question, you can only imagine what they're doing to farm workers, to cooks, to day laborers out in the Los Angeles community and throughout California and throughout the country. We will hold this administration accountable. And we'll have more to say. We'll have more to say in the coming days.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could see him getting emotional right there. And he did. Kim was saying there, he did identify himself. Now, I will say this. I don't have the video up, but there was a former law enforcement person that was talking to someone on CNN saying that he was at a press conference, and the reason why he was being detained was because of how he was approaching. He had interrupted, that the security detail did not know who he was. And even though he did identify himself, that he should not have gotten special treatment, supposedly. And the reason why it got even more aggressive wasn't because he was pushing or whatever, was because he kept walking forward. The truth of the matter is, I'm shocked by the words that Kristi Noem was saying. And he has a right to stand up as a U.S. senator and ask questions. They're taking over U.S. cities. This is insane what is going on right now. It is absolutely insane, the story that they are trying to convey across the nation, as if LA is on fire when it's a couple square blocks. As if peaceful protesters, legal peaceful protesters that are protesting something completely valid, which is a violation of our constitutional rights by our president and his administration, that is not as important as Waymo cars being lit on fire, as if we have to take responsibility for that. We don't have to take responsibility for that at all. That is not our concern. We do not take responsibility for the crimes of others. We don't. That is a law enforcement problem, and they are absolutely capable of taking care of it. We are allowed to protest a violation of our constitutional rights, and it pisses me off when other people, just because they support Donald Trump, are willing to abdicate their constitutional rights because of it.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you people?
Well,
what is wrong with you?
If you were waiting for the moment to go to a protest, I think we've hit it.
This is the moment.
And what I don't mean is violence, because I don't want to go to anything that's violent. I don't want to take my kids to anything that's violent. I don't support anything that's violent. I don't support blocking streets, but I do support being a person that is standing on a sidewalk, that is part of a protest and part of a group that says this is not okay. I do support raising voices. I do support exercising our American freedoms. It's not okay for this to have happened. I saw him take a step forward, as in he didn't want to leave the room without getting his question answered. Exactly. I did not see him do anything violent. Yeah. That's our elected senator from the state of California. We put him in this position. So an attack on what I just saw personally felt like not only an attack on Senator Padilla, but an attack on me. He represents me and my voice.
Exactly. I saw this too, Tammy. The right wing is framing him as aggressive, even saying he should be deported. The line has been crossed. I hope the protest in every city this weekend. Yeah. I'm going to the San Jose No Kings protest.
Yeah.
That is what's happening this weekend. There is not going to be one in Washington, D.C. Instead, they are having more of I'm not using the right word, festival, kind of something separate away from Donald Trump's birthday bash, because they don't want people there. They don't want to draw attention to him. They want nobody to kind of show up. They want you to go somewhere else.
I thought there was going to be protests at the rally. He said it'll be, any protests will be met with a heavy-handed response or whatever, like a threat.
Well, according to the organized 5150 No Kings protest, they are asking people to go to other events. They are not organizing. Obviously, they can't control what other people do. But the organizers of these events, the No Kings, the 5150, they are not behind any of the organized protests at this military North Korea style, just awful event. Don't go there. That's what he wants. He doesn't care if you love him or hate him. He wants you to show up. Don't show up there. You know what I mean? So nothing official of this organization is happening in DC. It's happening, I think Philadelphia is where they're wanting you to go if you're in that DC area, I believe. I'm going to one. I think there's like thousands of events happening all across the country. I'm going to the one in San Jose. I'm taking my children to it. It's happening at a park. If you're in San Jose, it's happening at St. James Park between 12 and 2. And you guys know how I feel. I've been talking this whole time since he's gotten elected about protecting your mental health. And this is the moment. I mean, it is insane. It's insane what they're doing. They're trying to take over our cities. Gavin Newsom, the speech that he gave, I don't know if he's trying to become president of the United States. But there is he can't not speak, right?
No, he has to. Yeah.
He has to speak. So here's a little bit of the speech that he was giving.
Look, this isn't just about protests here in Los Angeles. When Donald Trump sought blanket authority to commandeer the National Guard, he made that order apply to every state in this nation. This is about all of us. This is about you. California may be first, but it clearly will not end here. Other states are next. Democracy is next. Democracy is under assault before our eyes. This moment we have feared has arrived.
And it has. He is not going to stop in California. You protest. He was going to take over the city. He's going to say that you need them. We need to. What did Kristi Noem say? We are going to liberate that city from their governor, from their mayor. You're going to liberate our city when we don't ask you to? What the hell does that mean? It's insane.
And we're not leaving? What? What do you mean you're not leaving? What does that mean?
I mean, are we a breath away from martial law? Because it sure as hell seems like it. It sure as hell seems like it. Louise, thank you for the $5 donation. Puppy Killer, you're the problem. Talking about Kristi Noem. The impacted areas may be 4 square blocks exactly. You can keep running your looped video over and over. I'm in LA. You're full of crap. Exactly. And do you know how, by the way, for people that don't live in California and have no idea, LA is gigantic. It is it's bigger than some states. You know what I mean? It is the population. It is insanely big. So for them to say LA's burning, screw you. The narrative is so off base. It's insane. It's crazy.
You said that already.
It's crazy.
This comment from Vanessa hit me. She said, sadly, we can no longer say this isn't who we are because now it is who we are. I don't know about you. And I hate the scare tactics in the media, like, oh, everyone be afraid. But I have to tell you, I have been afraid. I look at what's happening and the more it plays out, the more stressed out and kind of afraid that I'm getting, because I know during the election, I remember it when asked, would you use the military against citizens? And Trump said, yes, I would. Remember that? And there was a big story that he would be turning the military against United States citizens. And I thought, Well, there's never
Exactly.
going to be a situation where that would happen, right? That I was, a little like looked askance when he said it, but I didn't think that, less than a couple hundred days into office, that we'd be faced off with the United States Marines against the citizens of the United States. And now Kristi Noem saying we're not leaving.
Yeah.
I have stress over it. Like Mark calls it a movie because it's a bad movie, right?
Mhm.
Or we've seen this movie before, and it's true. It plays out in my head. Like, how is this going to go? I have to
Well,
look.
I want to play this one video just because you're saying like this is who we
Mhm.
are and you're talking about the military against its own citizens.
Yeah.
Did you see this video? This video kind of this video is one of those videos where you feel like it comes out of a movie, right? This guy that was at one of the protests.
Feel tough with your assault rifles and your sticks. You should be standing here with us. You're on the wrong side of history. We know you got a job to do, but you took an oath to the Constitution, not to the fascists in the White House. Think about what you're doing now. Think about what this means. Coming into our community. Peaceful fucking community. People working their jobs. They send in men in military fatigues, weapons of war into our communities. And you stand here and you allow it. I am sick and tired of it. You should be sick and tired of it. You think any of these people in the White House sending you these commands give a fuck about you? Not one of them do. They laugh at you. Our president laughs at you. He calls you fools. He said the people who died overseas in the military were chumps. That's who you're defending right now. Every last. Think about your place in history, ladies and gentlemen. Ask yourself when you wake up tomorrow. I don't know if you have kids. Ask yourself the future you want for your children. Is it this? You can answer me. Is it this? Do you feel good about this? You're tough behind your fucking masks and your fatigues and with your weapons, but how do you feel on the inside? This is our fucking community, and we will fight for it if we have to. Wall Street! Wall Street!
I don't know. I loved that video. But it's true. You wish that the people that are standing there understand that. I saw one video of another woman that was in the military. I don't know which military unit, but she was saying the same thing. She's like, I don't want to be doing this. They have a constitutional right to protest. This isn't right. And I'm not going to be used in this way. But at the same time, it is this question of following orders and this demonizing of ICE and military personnel and all these sorts of things. Like it's really hard to differentiate when we're talking about American citizens. You know what I mean? And who to blame? Do we blame the military that are quote unquote just doing their job? And everyone hates when we bring up the Nazis. The Nazis were just doing their jobs. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just following orders. But it's like, you don't have to answer the call. You know what I mean? You don't have to answer the call. And then there's and I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory. I don't know if it's made up. And then there's people that are like the whole paid actors thing. Like, there are people that are paid to just cause destruction at night because it makes it look good. It makes it look good if there's fires burning, because then that takes over the whole protester message.
Yeah.
But it's hard to prove that, right? You can't prove stuff like that. But like I said at the beginning of my whole talk, peaceful protesters are not responsible for criminals' behavior. That's on law enforcement. We are allowed to peacefully protest the violation of our constitutional rights. Anything else is somebody else's problem. We are allowed to protest the violation of our constitutional rights every day, including Sunday. And the president should listen to us, and nothing else matters. I don't care what else happens. Just because a car is burning, not my problem. That is not my problem. And it doesn't, just because it's happening, doesn't mean the president isn't violating my constitutional rights. And I'm sorry, that's more important. That is more important than a Waymo car. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is.
People are like, oh my God, but the streets are burning, businesses are burning. Your constitutional rights are being violated. Wake up. Wake up. It boggles my mind.
I do want to say that someone in the chat said that was Kurt Russell's son, and it is not Kurt Russell's son.
It is not Kurt Russell's son. No,
Yeah, they
I
say
think it's like Aaron something, and someone was trying to identify. I don't know.
say his Wyatt Russell was misidentified. That's not him. And the family's like, we're trying to get the word out that it wasn't him. Although I would take credit. I'd be like, sure, that was our kid. We love what he had to say. No, they say that was not Wyatt Russell. So just in case for anyone that thought that was Kurt Russell's son, it is not Kurt Russell's son.
Somebody, I was trying to Google it on Instagram. Let me see if I could bring up my Instagram, because I think I searched his name, and because somebody had said Aaron Fisher. Somebody said it was this guy by the name of Aaron Fisher, some random guy named Aaron Fisher. Who cares? Who cares who he is? He's speaking, one, from the heart, and two, what a lot of people are thinking and trying to reach these people. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out my ass. I don't think that anybody signed up to do this, right? I would hope that those men and women, especially the Marines, are like, I did not sign up to be protecting an American building outside of war times because people are protesting something like this. Like, this is not what I wanted to do. I signed up to be, actually fighting real wars. This is not it. You know what I mean? Like, no, thank you. So I don't know. Now, of course, there's a lot of optics that we're talking about. There's the Padilla thing, right? Then there's the actual protests. What do you guys think? Okay, hold on, John. And I know that you're a Trump supporter. Yep, not your car, not your business, not your neighborhood. So what does that mean? And I'm not trying to attack you. What does that mean? What are you trying to say there? I understand, not my car, not my business, not my neighborhood. Okay, so arrest the people that burned your car, burned your business, and burned your neighborhood. Get the cops to arrest the people responsible. But what does that have to do with my protest? What does that have to do with it? There are criminals that will take peaceful protests and hide behind them to commit crimes. So does that mean because criminals do that to your car, your business, and your neighborhood, my protest no longer matters? My message of the violation of my constitutional rights no longer matters? That I should be like, you know what? Let's end our protest. Somebody's car burned down. That's a criminal act done by a criminal that should get arrested. That is a law enforcement problem. That is not the protesters' problem. I don't understand how much easier I can make that for you, John. What would you like protesters to do? Right before the curfew, peaceful. Criminals hide behind these protests. That's a law enforcement problem. And that's it.
And it happens every time, right?
Exactly.
There's going to be a couple people that riot. There's going to be some people that hang out when night falls and create trouble. But I don't think that should take away from the people raising their voices. As a matter of fact, my husband said something to me about how he read that only 3% of the population is needed in a rising up to make change. And so I looked it up. I thought, can that be true? That doesn't seem like very many. There's something called the 3.5% rule.
Okay.
And it is this threshold of 3.5% of the population. And when 3.5% or more of the population rises up, it has never failed to bring about change. Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
They say that in Manila, the Marcos regime In 1986, there was this movement called the People Power movement, and they hit the threshold on the fourth day. The Marcos regime folded. The people of Georgia in 2003, not Georgia, in our country, they ousted Edward Shevardnadze in a rose revolution where people stormed the parliament building holding flowers in their hands. In 2019, in Algeria and Sudan, leaders said they would step aside after peaceful campaigns of resistance. 3.5%, all it took in those cases. They looked at hundreds of incidents and campaigns over the last century and found nonviolent campaigns are twice as likely to achieve their goal as violent campaigns. So nonviolent does better.
Of
The
course.
exact dynamics are still depending on other factors, but they've shown that it takes about 3.5% of the population actively participating in these protests to ensure serious political change.
Well, that's what we need. And we need people to continue to
Mhm.
protest. And that's the thing. You know what I mean? I want people to understand. I want people like John to understand that that's what all these protesters are trying to get across. And I'm not trying to say, and I think somebody was saying, like, I'm not saying that it doesn't matter to the businesses or the person whose car burned down. I'm not trying to say it doesn't matter, but that's separate than the protest. That's what I'm trying to say. That's not the protest. And I wish that every single protest ended peacefully and everyone just went home when the sun set and we're going to do it again tomorrow, right? Like, of course, I wish that nothing would happen like that, right? Of course. Now, here's a question for you, Kim.
Mm.
When we're talking optics, okay? Optics of, burning and fires and things like that. There's a big conversation happening online about whether or not people should be flying any other flag during these protests besides the American flag. Your thoughts?
Trump said, I saw him speak yesterday or the day before, and he used the fact that people are flying flags from other countries, be it Mexico, Honduras, Guatemala, whatever. He's using that as proof that it's an invasion. Okay. And so I wouldn't fly those flags because I think if it gives them ammunition to say that, oh, look, we're being invaded by people from other countries who came here, they're here illegally in an undocumented fashion and they won't leave. And now they're flying the flags of other countries as if they wish to take over our country. Set aside that we took it from somebody else, but whatever. I think that it's causing more harm than good.
Okay.
And so I wouldn't do it. I don't have a problem with people that fly other countries' flags. There's people here that have an American flag on top. You see at their home, and they fly a British flag or they fly whatever flag right underneath it, the flag of
Right.
Italy down the street from me. So I don't have a problem with, I think this is a melting pot and we're people
Exactly.
from a million countries. And it's amazing how we can have this country where we're so diverse and everyone, whether you're newly immigrated or whether your family hails from a different country, whatever. I love that. But in this particular protest, when they're using flags as leverage in the court to try to, get possibly the Insurrection Act invoked or whatever they're going to do next, I feel like don't do that right now. Let's be Americans together. Raise the American flag, because what we're fighting for are American ideals. What we're fighting for is the United States Constitution, our ability to speak, the
Right.
ability, to have a voice and to protest. I feel like, yeah, no, I wouldn't fly any other flag.
What do you
Even
guys think? Let me
even the
know in the comments. It's
Luxembourgish flag. What do you think?
And I find it a hard thing to have an opinion about. And I've
Mhm.
gone back and forth. I agree with you. It'd be great if everybody could just kind of agree, right? Like,
Mhm.
let's just fly the American flag because it would, a lot of things would be really nice if we could all just do it together, right? Because it would shut them down. It would be really great if we can end our protests right at curfew and all go home and nobody do anything, right? It would all be good if we could all fly the American flag and it would all, all of these things. But we're living in Never Never Land, right? It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen that everyone's going to agree to not fly, a Mexican or any sort of other country's flag. But I do agree with you. I think that if we did do it, it would give them one less thing to point to, right? Even if there were 5 people, if everybody had an American flag except 5 people, there would only be a shot of those 5 people playing on Fox News. You know what I mean? Like that's what they do with the fires and the buildings. They only play those images on loop, right? It's like a couple square blocks of these protests that have fires, and you would think that all of LA is on fire. That's the image that they're going to give you. So it doesn't really actually matter because if there's 1, 2, or 3, they will just latch onto it anyway. So there's really no way of controlling the optics with flags.
Hosea has a different perspective, which I think I hadn't considered maybe as a white American. He says, I get what you're saying. If I, as a Mexican American, raise a United States flag, I instantly become a target. I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought it doesn't matter what color you are to raise a flag of an American flag. How do I know when you raise an American flag what your ancestry is or whether you're a citizen? I have no idea.
Right. Yeah.
No one has any idea. Your family could have been here for, generations. So, but he feels that way, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you feel that way.
And, and flags in and of themselves hold so much, weight to people because, someone was mentioning earlier in the comments, January 6th, Trump flags, right? Like they were all over January 6th. Trump's face on flags. People still have Trump on their porch as if it's just insane. I know he's president again, but they never took him down. You know
Calvin
what I mean?
says January 6th was an invasion with American flags. Those people were outright traitors with delusions by Trump. 100%.
They beat cops with flagpoles.
I heard Pam Bondi say, "Oh no, this is completely different. This has nothing to, there's no comparison with what's happening in Los Angeles versus what happened on January 6th.
You're right. Give me a break.
I would say what happened on January 6th, in both cases, Trump is the instigator of this. What happened on January 6th is people that didn't like an election result decided to storm the US Capitol, thwart the voice of the American people, and illegally not only hurt people, but try to stop American democracy in process. So that was January 6th. What's happening in Los Angeles? Trump is trying to has militarized the California National Guard and is now trying to use the United States military against our own people. The LA police chief, once again, yesterday and today, said, we don't need help. We don't need your help.
Right.
Historically, if you need help, you call for the National Guard to back you up. You call the governor.
Exactly.
Mayor calls the governor. The governor may then say, listen, we need help, and call the president. None of that happened in the whole chain of command, from the police chief to the Los Angeles mayor to the governor of California. All 3 of them have said, we don't need your help here. We don't need the National Guard. We don't need the Marines. We don't need any of this.
Yeah. It's just that they want to act like we need help because they want to invade. And it's all a distraction. It's a distraction from the big, beautiful bullshit bill, Epstein's files that Trump is in. It's all a distraction from all of it. And we have to focus on all of it. We have to. I mean, we have to have a million different eyeballs on everything because Trump's a friggin' mess, right? I mean, the bill's raising the deficit, even though they can continue to say that it's not. It is. He's taking away Medicaid. He's doing all this terrible stuff. All the GOP is, right? Well, we know he's in Epstein's files. We knew that from the very beginning. Nobody is shocked by that.
Right.
And so he has to do this. And he has to make all blue states seem like they're terrible. And there was no chain of command. Even LA's police chief has said, no, this still hasn't risen to the level where we would trigger the National Guard, let alone the Marines. So, they all want Trump to like have this, this sort of strong response.
Mhm.
And I'm talking about, MAGA, but we don't need it. And it is an invasion. And with Noam saying, like I played at the beginning of the show, we're not leaving. That's frightening because how do you get them out?
Yeah.
How do you get them out?
No cap.
That's what's frightening.
No cap says, hey, I completely understand this. This is federal buildings they're guarding, and it's a federal jurisdiction. Since they're attacking our police and looting buildings and police are overwhelmed, it makes sense. Except no cap. Police say they're not overwhelmed. The police chief
They're
of
not
Los
asking for
Angeles
help.
says, we don't need this help. We're not overwhelmed. We can handle this. Again, this is in a 4-block radius.
And they didn't ask.
Right. They didn't ask for help.
They didn't ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
The president is sending help that's not wanted and escalating a situation on his own. He wants, it's obvious. I mean, come on, nobody's an idiot. He wants to escalate the situation. Sam, thank you so much for the $10 donation. We love you. 6 months down, 42 more to go. Who's counting? The world is on fire. Love you, Nikki and Kim. Thank you. We need to put it out. I mean, and again, and I know I keep talking about this, you guys, because I'm very excited, but my road trip, like, I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bit concerned. I will say I'm concerned about my son going to Washington, D.C. right after this.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I think that if something was bad was going to happen at the stupid No Kings thing, his stupid military thing, they would cancel the trip, right? I mean, that's what I would assume. Thank God I bought the insurance on the Washington, D.C. trip.
Exactly.
Thank God I get my money back. Louise says protesters aren't riot fan. That dude doesn't know who just won a championship or why people are protesting. He just wants to loot and create chaos. I feel like people forget, and it's this whole due process thing also, so if you also didn't see, there was news today with Donald Trump that he claims he's not going to go after farmers. Right. So, this is what he says. He's like, and I don't know. He says, our great farmers and people in the hotel and leisure business have been stating that our very aggressive policy on immigration is taking very good long-time workers away from them. No shit, Sherlock. With those jobs being almost impossible to replace. Okay. He added that in many cases, criminals allowed into our country by the very stupid Biden open borders policy are applying for these jobs. This is not good. We must protect our farmers, but get the criminals out of the USA. Changes are coming. So let me get this straight. You create a problem, you blame it on Biden, and then you act like you're fixing the problem? No.
I saw a piece of propaganda that it had the first people that were arrested in the Los Angeles demonstrations or whatever. The people that they arrested, they rounded up 44 immigrants at the very beginning of all this. This is how, many more people now have been arrested in protesting, but at the beginning, it was like more than 40 people that on day one that they had rounded up. And they put pictures of the first 8. And they were like, this person committed this crime, murderer, attempted murder, rapist, blah, blah, blah. And it went through and they, tried to say that they were arresting criminals. But what we know that is not the case. Maybe 8 of the people were criminals, but Stephen Miller said, we need to increase our quota to 300 arrests a day or whatever it was. And so they went to Home Depot. Those people aren't criminals. They're just trying to work. They're just trying to get some work to take care of their families. Yeah. There's a big difference. And what we are seeing now with Trump having to come out and say, oh, I don't want to take your farm workers away. I don't want to take your hotel maids away, right? What we're seeing is that, immigrants are really important to this country. Immigrants do work they can't find other people to do. Shocker. We told you that at the very beginning. We said, take away our immigrants in California. You want to see prices at the grocery store shoot up? They will. because you're taking away the workers. Again, during the pandemic, you saw notes on doors of restaurants. We don't have staff. We can't open.
Yep.
Why? Because the dishwashers and the waiters and the people who do the hard work, the immigrants.
Yep. That want to do those jobs. That want to do those jobs.
Small businesses, big businesses, farms, hospitality, hotels, all of these industries and these from small to large businesses are going to feel this hit. And it's like he just figured that out because farmers complained.
Right. But he's talking out both sides of his mouth, because also the Department of Homeland Security revoked work and resident permissions for thousands of migrants today. A notice sent by email to Cuban, Haitian, Nicaraguan, Venezuelan nationals demand that migrants vacate the country immediately. And if they don't, it's going to mean involuntary detention. The notice obtained by CNN says, this notice informs you that your parole is now terminated. If you do not leave, you may be subject to enforcement actions, including but not limited to detention and removal, without an opportunity to make personal arrangements and return to your country in an orderly manner. The termination of this parole program was granted legal working status to 530,000 migrants from 4 countries. Basically, the Supreme Court had eliminated the legal challenges that followed the legislation in an unsigned order in May. So that's why they're able to do this. And they're able to self-deport through the Customs and Border Act. But they were allowed to work. They revoked the work and residence permission for thousands of migrants today. So I don't know where these people worked, but I would assume that some of these people had work permits to work on farms and some of the places that Donald Trump just said he was going to allow them to stay. So both things can't be true. Both things can't be true. So I don't know what's going to happen. That's 500 and that's, more than 500,000 people. So I don't know who to believe. I just don't know who to believe. So I would believe the Department of Homeland Security basically just kicking all the people out. That's probably what's just going to happen. Absolutely. Mayor Bass said in a press conference today that ICE was in emergency rooms and homeless shelters. Yes. ICE is also going into courtrooms, immigration courtrooms, where people are doing it the legal way, which is what Americans say that they want people to do. That they're going in there, which they're not allowed to do. They're not allowed to do. Kristi Noem was saying, ICE agents are being doxxed. That's why they're covering their faces. They're not. They're covering their faces because they should be ashamed of themselves. And they're covering their faces also because half of what they're doing, they're not allowed to do. They're not allowed to do. You're not supposed to go inside courtrooms. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to break car windows without a warrant.
Doesn't it make it seem like if I was an immigrant and I had a court date to legally and lawfully stay here, would I go to the court date knowing that outside somebody's waiting to arrest me? Do you want people to follow the law or do you not? Because if you want people to follow the law, then why wouldn't you encourage them to go to court and have things done in a legal fashion? That doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't.
I saw a story that we need to be really careful, as evidenced just by the whole Kurt Russell son thing, where people start believing something because they read it somewhere, saw something, whatever, and don't then go back and do the research, look it up and make sure it's true, right? That the fake videos, conspiracies are fueling falsehoods about what's happening in Los Angeles. A lot of the footage that we're being shown on social media is from other protests that happened years and years and years ago. You saw, some of you may have seen a Jeep set ablaze. That is from 2020. They're far-right conspiracy theorist Alex Jones and Ted Cruz, Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, posting these things that happened during the George Floyd protests, right? Old clips shared the same day the driverless Waymo vehicles were set on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Recycled footage giving misleading impressions that these incidents are more frequent and more widespread than they really are.
Yeah, exactly.
Sunday, 2 days before the Marines were ordered to deploy in Los Angeles, old unrelated footage falsely claiming to show them arriving. One video showed Marines driving to their base hundreds of miles away in San Diego County, misrepresenting them as showing them driving and entering into Los Angeles. So, and it goes on with things that are inaccurate, things that have been shown to us from whatever medium, like, oh, this is happening now. And then people take it and they keep posting it and they keep posting it. And this is how things get spread that aren't true.
Exactly. And we're going to talk a little bit kind of on a different angle, but we're going to talk about AI as well. And fake videos that are being made, and they're only going to get better. And we talk about AI a lot, but exactly. And some of them are blatantly fake. Like there was one video I saw where someone was being interviewed at a protest and they're like, I'm just here to mess things up and burn things because that person told me. And there's like a fake Gavin Newsom, like doing his hair at a protest. Obviously fake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it just goes to show, like, these are the things that people are making, and just think about where it's going. Right. I mean, and so you do have to be careful of what you see and what you're viewing. What I love are the people that go live. That's what I like to watch. There's this one woman that's been going live from LA. She's an older, I think she looks like our age, like in her 40s or early 50s. And she's been going live almost every day. And she's like, this is what's happening. It is peaceful. There's not, but it's daytime. You know what I mean? And that's what she's showing. You know what I mean? Like that's what she's showing. And she's trying to be honest about it. And I get it. And this is the thing, Kim. And let's just do a little inside baseball here, right? And even though we were radio, not television, I get that TV people want to be in the thick of things. I get it. KFI, I don't know if you heard, they got tear gassed. I remember when Chris Filippi, KCBS former reporter, now with, is he with Bart? Who is he with? I forget who he's with.
I think he is with Bart. Yeah.
But he was at one protest and he got blasted with tear gas. It's terrible. You know what I mean? But at the same time, when you're in the thick of it, like reporters live for that crap, right? So there's this balance where reporters will put themselves in the situations that look good for cameras. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're not going to go where nothing's happening. I'm sorry, they're not. So if you're looking at the news and there's a gigantic 4-block radius protest and 90% of it is peaceful, CNN's not going to be covering that part. They're not. So that's what pisses me off.
Here's this guy, No Cap, who says, what if you controlled the rioters? First of all, they're not rioters, they're protesters. Big difference. Instead of making excuses for it, making excuses for a right to have freedom of speech? Or that Newsom actually condemned it. He did. He condemned lawlessness. He does not. Of
course.
He does not support breaking the law, and it is not against the law to protest.
They made more than 200 arrests, by the way. They've made hundreds of arrests.
You don't understand.
But they don't listen to that.
I feel sad that you don't understand what we stand for in America, that you want to control people's right to speak is what I see there, that you don't understand that there's a difference between protests and riots, and you don't actually have information that has been given multiple times where the mayor of Los Angeles has condemned any violence or any laws being broken, as has the governor of the state of California.
They don't hear it.
I can't help you if you're not actually paying attention.
Because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that and No Cap, I welcome you to the show. But this is the thing. And just because you seem like a new name to me, my dad is a huge Trump supporter. So just to let you know, I get into these conversations all the time. They don't hear, in my opinion, Trump supporters don't hear the other parts, right? They don't hear Governor Newsom condemning violence. They don't hear the facts about the arrests being made. They don't hear any of that part. all they see are the fires, and they say, look at that liberal city being burned.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what they also don't hear or see? What Donald Trump is saying and doing right before your eyes. They don't seem to see what we're telling you is happening right before your eyes, because apparently it's not happening to you yet. And that's what scares me, is that it's not happening to you yet. And we see these stories all the time. I was watching one news story of this businessman who his whole business, all of his workers got rounded up by ICE. And he voted for Trump, which also pissed me off, because it's not like he got arrested for hiring them, because apparently that's not a crime, but whatever. All of his workers got, and he was literally got emotional on the news story. He's like, none of them were criminals. None of them had a criminal history. They just didn't have their papers. And he's like, I don't know where they are. I have no idea where they are. That's the world you want to live in, because Donald Trump promised you, the rapists, the murderers, the drug dealers, that quota can't be met, because it can't be met. Okay. They're under, even with all of this, they're still under the number of deportations at this time that Biden was. Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about that.
They don't want you to hear that, though. They don't want you to know that. They want you to think Trump is tough, right?
I wish that we could hear things. Okay, go ahead.
I wonder if people that voted for Trump for whatever reason, because of what he's doing in other countries, because of what the Biden policy was in other countries, whatever it was, because of what America was doing, for whatever reason, the price of eggs, whatever, if they now look at this and see, oh, this was a big mistake. How do we get out of this? I don't know how we continue on for 4 years of this.
I don't think we can.
I don't know how this works, and that we still have America at the other side of it. I have huge concerns that this is it for us.
And I don't want to keep focusing on Cap, but I like to engage with people that disagree with us. And this comment shocks me. You think that rioting is more of a story than what we're protesting about. I would like you to go into the comments and explain that to me. What do you think actually, this is my question to you, Cap. What do you think people are protesting? What do you think the protest on Saturday is about? And what do you think people are actively protesting about? Because if you think that rioting is the story, then there is honestly, and I'm not attacking you, and this is what Kim, we talk about this all the time. There is a fundamental miscommunication between Democratic voters and Republican voters. And I don't know how we bridge that gap, because I've spent the past, 55 or so minutes trying to explain to people like No Cap that there's an attack on our First Amendment rights, press, speech, freedom of assembly, right? Due process.
Yeah. And
he's focused on riots and criminals that have been arrested. Hundreds of people are being arrested. Law enforcement's handling that. And No Cap, you don't seem to be afraid of it. He's referring to what's being shown. And I mentioned that CNN is obviously, and I said that CNN's going to show it's a better news story, but don't you think losing your constitutional rights is a good news story?
Pretty good reason to stand up and use your voice.
That's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying.
And if No Cap is saying, 90% of it's peaceful and admitting that, then you're admitting to me also that the National Guard and the Marines are not necessary here.
Right. So and that Trump is inflaming everybody,
yes,
and he should leave.
It's ridiculous. And I can't, I know Louis says we're giving voice to trolls or what have you. But We need
to talk to people, dude.
Yes, because there's something about this that I want, and I don't know if I'm beating my head against a brick wall with a hope of having an outcome that's never going to change.
No, but No Cap's been respectful, so I will have a conversation. So I have no problem. I have no problem having conversations.
I feel like we need to inform people because you see, I just put up the story. I posted the link to the story where we're being shown misinformation, where you're seeing videos of things on fire that are not on fire. They were on fire 5-10 years ago. You're being told things that are not true. So let's have a look at the truth.
This is another scary thing. Did you hear about Trump's Fort Bragg speech? Did you hear about this?
Horrifying. Yeah.
Oh my God. So if you didn't hear, he gave this speech at Fort Bragg and he screened the military that had to sit behind him. You couldn't be fat, overweight. You had to look a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even the worst part. You had to be a supporter.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why that is so bad is the military in and of itself, the military personnel, the image in which they give out to the public is supposed to be nonpartisan. Military.com. Military.com. I get this article from them. Okay. I would take this as being like kind of middle of the road. It is not, does not lean. Okay. Their headline: Bragg soldiers who cheered Trump's political attacks while in uniform were checked for allegiance and appearance. Okay. Yep. So that's their headline. So this is not a Fox or a CNN or MSNBC article. That is the headline. So that's why I chose this article. Now, they go on to say they criticize the fact of this kind of screening that happened. But the thing that they asked a Pentagon spokesman about it, and the Pentagon spokesman attacked the reporter for even asking the question. And the guy was like, this is a problem. We cannot have military. Donald Trump required, hold on, I think I have the sound of it. Here, this is the video. He told them to do this. Apparently, these soldiers were told that when he says this, he wanted them to boo. Here we go.
Wearing a uniform because you don't know exactly.
They're in uniform, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
In Los Angeles, the governor of California, the mayor of Los Angeles.
You should not be doing that in uniform.
Mm-mm.
They're incompetent, and they paid troublemakers, agitators, and insurrectionists. They're engaged in this willful attempt to nullify federal law and aid the occupation of the city by criminal invaders. That's what it is.
So, and that doesn't even make sense. So who are we paying? So we're paying people to invade our own city for what cause? Like, he's totally off his rocker, but whatever. But the fact that military in uniform are booing is completely unacceptable. You're not supposed to do that. You're not. I mean, standing at attention, doing all of that, but booing and requiring that and showing some sort of partisanship is not supposed to happen. Yeah, exactly.
Eileen says such a breach of military rules of conduct to be brazenly partisan while in uniform. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could salute your commander in chief, all that, but booing. Yeah, exactly. It was absolutely ridiculous. And he made them do that. He made them do, but obviously he screened them as supporters. So they were willing to do that. And that's the erosion. That's what I'm talking about. It is this erosion that comes with this presidency. And it's only June 12th.
Mm. Then, by the way, they sold Trump merch at the event.
Of course they did. Was it made in China? I bet it was.
It's just,
did anyone check the tags?
Yeah. It's just such a conflict of interest, and it's so cheap and sleazy.
Oh God, he's such an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God, he's such an asshole. I'm just saying, like, he's so, it's awful. It's awful. And that's why I'm doing that. Okay. So I want to move on to, I want to move on to the AI thing, but go ahead. Yeah.
I want to play you one more section of this video where and this is dangerous because what Trump wants to be news is news, and what anybody else wants to be news is not news, right?
Yeah.
So he wants them not only to boo Newsom and boo Mayor Bass, he wants them to boo for whatever news that he deems to be fake.
And for a little news for the fake news back there, the fake news, ladies and gentlemen, look at them all. Oh, what I have to put up with. Fake news. What I have to put up with. But they're all right.
People
They've been
telling
very
the
nice
truth.
today. They were impressed with that display, I can tell you that. I think it took them a little by surprise, but
You made them do that, you ass.
He made them do that.
He's so, and you know what? He's such a little man that he made them do that. You know what I mean? Okay, I want you guys to boo because I want to look strong. He's such an ass. I can't. I say this almost every show. I don't wish death on anybody. I just want people to go away. I just want him to go away. I just do. I do.
At what point? And maybe I'm just so naive. At what point do Republican members of Congress go,
No,
you know what?
never.
The
They have no
money
spine.
isn't worth it. Whatever we're lining our pockets with, that we've had enough of the money.
No.
We have enough now. Can we just get our country back? What happened to your 4th of July picnic? What happened to the reasons that we celebrate? This year, are you going to celebrate? Are you going to look at the 4th of July differently? The independence of our country, the Constitution. Are you going to look at these things? Are you going to celebrate these things that are in peril?
No.
I mean, I don't want to be too
Jonathan said
dramatic
he
about
wants
it, but
Newsom tarred and feathered.
I
Are
saw
you
that.
fucking kidding me?
I saw that.
Oh, wait. And you know what?
Mhm.
Oh, he's another one. That's just like, ugh, ugh. I just want them all to go away. I want them to get their comeuppance. You know what I mean? Like I want them to see why it's wrong. I really do. I want them to see why. And again, like people like John and No Cap, I don't understand why you like it. I don't understand why you like it. I don't understand what you like. I really don't. It
Well,
boggles my mind.
it might be too late for them. And I don't mean to be offensive, but I really feel like how much of our country do we lose in order for you to understand what's happening? Are you so like Trump, white people that you can't understand that we're
Right.
failing the values of this country and our Constitution? Like, when do you get it?
Exactly. And I love that No Cap asked this question. I love it.
Mhm.
Obama was called deporter in chief. He was. I have a very close friend, a former roommate. Oh, a very liberal, very, very liberal. Okay. I voted for Obama, obviously. Pissed. So mad during Obama's presidency over it. Because we were very much aware, just to let you know.
Yeah.
Democrats were very much aware. I don't know if Republicans were. We were very much aware of the number of deportations that were happening. Because I don't know if you know this, No Cap, but Democrats actually hold our lawmakers to account and notice these things. And he did. He has deported so many people. The difference, my friend, is the due process. The difference is the way it is being done. That's the difference. That's the difference. It's not this mass rounding up. Do you understand?
Disappearing you in the middle of the night, never to be seen again. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, where you just dump someone in a notorious prison in some other country. Come on.
Now, people might not like it. They might not like the notification. They might disagree with it. They might not like the revocation of their visa or what have you, but they're notified. They're able to appeal. There's a process. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
They're not just rounded up, car window broken, dragged out of a car. That's what we're talking about. This is what I'm talking about. And you're right, Ricky. Like I mentioned earlier, we have to have a million eyes, the budget bill, the Epstein files, all, and God knows what else that we're not even
the
seeing.
the building of a file on every American with the Planeteer,
The
right?
AI Social Security, the everything else, right?
Yeah.
Like, I swear to God, people, and people say it, it's going to take a generation or two to clean up this mess. But that's why I'm bringing my kids on Saturday to make sure that they remember. Yeah, and it's all in Project 2025. You can just read it. But they didn't want it, right? They didn't want it.
Trump never heard of Project 2025.
I've never heard it. Yeah.
What's that? I don't even know those people.
They
Nothing
lie to you
Yeah.
and you eat it up. Or you don't. Or you lie right back to us. You knew it. You knew it. And you want it. You want to abdicate your constitutional rights. And this is what I say to people. You know how people say, if you don't like it, leave America. If you didn't like our Constitution, if you don't like due process or the First Amendment, you leave. You leave. This is our Constitution. This is our country. These are our rights. If you don't want to follow them, if you don't like a free press, if you don't like due process or birthright citizenship or any of that shit, then get out. Then get out. But that's this country. And that's what we're fighting for.
Yeah.
Okay? That's it. Kind of on the same note of all this technology and stuff happening. I think you put the story in about the Washington Post. Washington Post planning to bring in a non-professional writers coached by an AI editor.
Yeah.
With a story strength tracker. Headline, Washington Post is working on plans to get content from alternative sources like Substack contributors and non-professional writers, aided by an AI editor and writing coach.
What could go wrong? First of all, they don't want to pay reporters, so they're going to put AI in charge of what goes out in the Washington Post.
I don't know how many of you use AI. You really got to watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. Like, you could put stuff in there. You have to read it. Like, you got to read it. Like, it's weird. It can be really, really weird. I mean, you could train it apparently, like, to know a voice. I mean, I'm sure, like, if the New York Times plugged enough stuff into Gemini or Chat GPT enough, it'll start, I guess, writing like the New York Times. That's how it's supposed to learn. But no, it's begun. So they're basically eliminating, right? They're eliminating writers, editors, and things like that. The sources who share the information about this Ripple, the program has internally been named Ripple, and the research and development for it started more than a year ago. It seeks to sharply expand the Post's lineup of columnists. I don't know how you use that word. In an effort to appeal to readers who want more breadth than the Post's current opinion section. You know how you get breadth, Kim? You pay people to write things on there.
Who have to put their name to it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Their name to it. If I publish whether it's a print story, a radio story, a TV story, whatever it is, I'm going to do my damnedest to make sure that I source things, that I get it right, that there's no typos, that it reflects on what I want to reflect from me. Does AI care about any of those things?
But let me ask you this, because we were just talking about our constitutional rights. Does AI have any constitutional rights? Are they protected by the First Amendment? Does it even matter? I mean, if every single article that you read is written by AI, then there's no protections for it. It doesn't have to be accurate, right? It's scary. And on that note, they're not the only ones. Yahoo Sports facing backlash. This after using AI generated fantasy sports content. And they've been using this for a while. It's not shying away, and it's admitting it in every single article. Apparently, one of their people departed late last week. There's been several posts appearing on its fantasy sports website and it led to an admission that its written content was created by the assistance of something called Cast Magic. I'm assuming that's an AI thing. It's a tool that assists creators with written, podcast, and social content creation. Oh, it does everything. Yahoo Sports has been using, this is their statement, using the Cast Magic tool for several months in its coverage of the NFL, NBA, and fantasy sports. Each article posted to Yahoo Sports using Cast Magic AI leads with a disclaimer that reads, "This article was written with the assistance of Cast Magic, an artificial intelligence tool, and reviewed by our editorial team to ensure accuracy. Please reach out to us if you notice any mistakes." So not only do they not want to pay any people, they want you, the reader, to be the editor. It's just like TV news when they wanted you to send in pictures of news stories instead of sending out people to send in the pictures. Remember when that started?
Oh,
And
yeah.
everyone was like, why don't you just send out
Citizen-
reporters?
Citizen reporters, send us your pictures. What do you want us to cover?
What do you want us? Yeah.
It should have read, do our work for us.
We saw this happen a long time ago. Yeah. Oh my God. It's begun. Now let me ask you in the comments. If you saw an article with a disclaimer at the beginning that said this article was written by AI, would that change how you felt about the accuracy or the content of the article?
Yes, I wouldn't trust it.
That's you, Kim. I'm asking people in the article in the comments because we're journalists, right?
Yeah.
Like, or former journalists, because we do
Mhm.
this talk show now. But like, honestly,
Yeah.
I'm asking you because if I was looking up, so if the headline was, I'm on Yahoo Sports, Tom Brady, is rejoining the New England Patriots, and everyone's like, I want to read that article, and then you click on it, and the beginning is like, it's written by AI. You know what I mean? Like, are you going to read the article still? I don't know. Right? I just feel like there's a significant number of people that don't give a shit. They're like, I'll click on it. AI. How many things do you see on television nowadays that say, I'm doing this with AI. I'm doing this with AI. Oh, AI this and AI that. People, dude, you're gonna wipe your butt with AI pretty soon. It's just
Won't be able to
Chip's here.
speak for
Chip's here.
yourself.
Did you guys see that a federal judge ruled that Trump cannot come in here, California? Well, yes.
I'm sending him a link. Chip, you need to come talk to us.
Yeah, come talk to us,
It's
Chip.
necessary.
I'm artificial and I don't have intelligence. Yeah, well, click the link. Have enough intelligence to click the link.
There you go. Emailed it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, AI is taking off in every aspect of our lives. But I feel like when it enters the press and the way we get information, what protections are there, especially with inaccurate information and this whole idea of fake news, right? It undermines legitimate, written by human beings news. Right? Like if AI comes out with it and it's inaccurate or it's a fake picture or it's an AI picture, people are like, oh, it's probably just AI. And so it lessens, it weakens the trust even further than Donald Trump even did. So I don't know, man. I just feel like let's stop incorporating AI into our news. And so I would push back on Yahoo Sports and the Washington Post, but I wouldn't trust. I mean, the Washington Post, Jeff Bezos, he doesn't give a shit.
No, he doesn't. I think some people look at AI as a tool, just a tool to help you say what you want to say. But I think when it's employed in such a large way, that as the Washington Post is talking about doing AI being the editor, is that what I heard you say? Then I think that we have a bigger problem because there's no one double checking for truth here.
Yeah.
But yes, this is what Chip was talking about. And we knew that this was going to happen. The federal judge, I believe, in question is former Supreme Court Justice Breyer's brother, who was asked by Gavin Newsom to put a restraining order on Trump's ability to federalize the California National Guard. And he didn't put an immediate restraining order in place. He gave the Trump administration until I think 11 today to provide information about why they did what they did. And now we understand that this is a federal judge saying Trump unlawfully federalized members of California National Guard. The judge ruling tonight, Trump has unlawfully done this.
So what does that mean?
And I don't
Do they
know
have to get out?
if they have to get out right now or what. I'll look it up. I'll look up a little more information on this one, but that's great. That's a great ruling.
Yeah, but he doesn't listen to judges. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't. Trump shrugs at judicial rulings.
Yeah.
He's like, and
well, and you know that it's going to then have to wind its way all the way up to the Supreme Court, right?
Well, hopefully. I mean, again, and it's all back to that guy that said, you're on the wrong side of history, that was yelling at the military. Like, get out on your own. You're not supposed to be there. A judge has ruled it. Get out. You know what I mean? So I don't know. We are at such a moment of history. And that's why, we sad to say bye to No Cap, but thank you, No Cap, for being here. He says, thanks for being kind and realizing I'm respectful, just asking questions as I like to understand both sides. He's from Australia, by the way. So he's just from the outside looking in. I didn't realize that, but thank you for being here, No Cap. There is, if you ever are on Instagram, by the way, or Facebook, sometimes they do this thing like, someone will be like, what are people from outside the country thinking about the US? I love reading the comments of people like that. And some people are like, how did you reelect this guy? Or how did you do this? How did you do that? I love reading those because sometimes it gives me hope. And sometimes I'm just like, I'm sorry. I don't know what to think. You know what I mean? So
here's what they say on MSN.
Okay.
This order, which takes effect noon Friday, says the deployment of the Guard is illegal and violates both the 10th Amendment and exceeds Trump's statutory authority. No comment from the White House, but the judge, U.S. District Judge Charles Breyer, again, the brother of the Supreme Court Justice, says this country was founded in response to a monarch, and the Constitution is a document of limitations. I'm trying to figure out where the lines are drawn.
Ooh.
That's what he said.
I mean, that gives me hope.
Yeah.
This is so good leading up to Saturday, too. Oh, I mean, if we weren't living it, I'd love to watch the movie. You know what I mean? But geez, Louise.
So there is this judge has issued a temporary restraining order directing Trump to return control of the California National Guard to California, which means to Governor Gavin Newsom, right? You're muted. I can't hear you. Okay. I still can't hear you. There you are.
Repeat what you just said. All right. Okay, go ahead. So you don't know what that means for Gavin for California? Is that what you just said?
No. I know what it means. They put a restraining order in place that says Trump doesn't have the control of the Guard. That California Governor Gavin Newsom has control of the Guard as of Friday at noon.
So does that mean that he can say go home?
Sure, he can say whatever he wants to say, but I expect that Trump will, conjure up more legal shenanigans that will roll out the timetable. Who knows? I don't know what will happen next, but I like what I'm seeing right now because I believe that even God, I guess it's me being naive again. I believe that even the Supreme Court would look at this and say, you can't do that.
Yeah. And you know what? This administration can't keep screaming states' rights and then do stuff like this. You know what I mean? Like, which is it? Which is it? Do we get to control our own state or don't we? Right? Do we or don't we? And if you don't like California so much, leave us alone. Right? There was a picture I saw where Canada was like, the offer still stands. And it was just like us, Washington, Oregon, and California included in Canada. And everything else.
The offer's looking pretty good right now.
I'm like, say less. But yeah, it's just it's crazy. I saw that, Jim. I was actually thinking of subscribing to Ground News. Let me know. It's not that expensive. So if you haven't heard of Ground News, have you heard of it?
I have heard of it, but I haven't explored it.
I haven't explored it. So basically, it's one of these things where they give you news, but they say like right at the start, like how it skews. I've heard of things like this before, so I was kind of like, is this kind of like things before? So Jim, let me know. Email me. Let me know if it's worth it.
I'm looking at the website and it says see every side of news.
Yeah, so it gives you all the news, but it lets you know the leanings of the news articles and the headlines, but you have to read the article. Like that's the whole thing. It's like read the article, but it lets you know ahead of time like how it kind of skews.
Oh, I see. It has see these little bars?
Yes.
Like this one has a bit greater red, this one has a greater blue. Interesting.
Yeah. So
oh, you knocked into your mic again. Interesting. Yeah, I'll check this out. I like that. I mean, in a perfect world, which I know the world is never perfect and people always approach things with their biases, we wouldn't have to put the way a story skews because we would just be writing factual news. I understand that we, in trying to provide context, can sometimes, incorporate our own biases, even if we don't intend to do it or mean to do it. That's just the way life goes.
Exactly.
So it's interesting, but I also don't want to, only have a site where, oh, I skew right, so I'm only going to click on the stories that click to the right. Oh, I skew blue, so I'm only going to click on the bluesies. Like, that's not it. I want everyone to have facts and information, and not just the information you think you want, but the information that's true.
Yeah. But I think that putting them next to each other and hopefully, and again, I don't know how it's set up, but I would imagine like if there was, 2 California protest stories together and you saw how the headlines were laid out, you might realize how news was being presented to you, right? Like if you see the same story and the headlines are completely skewing it one way versus the other, you would understand that that's how the world is being so divisive. Yeah. So Jim, let me know. Let me know how it works. I'm trying to stay positive at a time in history. I'm tired of living in a historic moment. Does that make sense? Like, I'm tired of it.
I'm sure the people in the, during the revolution times, during the Civil War times, during all the times of the tough times in America, were like, can we get past this?
But I mean, I think we always live through historic times. I mean, I'm trying to think of a time when it wasn't historic. I mean, can you think of a time that wasn't?
I think there are years where you can go about your life and assume that the government is going to do what the government is supposed to do, and that people will be following the rule of law and constitution, and you can go about your business and raise your family and not have to maybe
I try to think of a time, and I think I was just young. Honestly, I think I was just a kid. That's it.
I don't know. But I feel like now is not the time to look away. Now is the time that it's our turn to try to protect democracy. We celebrate those who have done it in the past, and now is our time that we have to do it. Yeah. It's sad that we brought this upon ourselves.
Yeah. And I love your comment, John. Yes, I do what you are advocating for by listening to you both. And thank you, John, for doing it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I think I try to think back to, the 70s, 80s. I can think of something politically in every single generation or economically or socially that was happening since I was born. And the only reason it didn't matter to me was because I was a kid.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only difference between then and now. And so, and the thing is I look at my kids and they're way more engaged. And part of me feels sad about it, but part of me also feels like, they're engaged, but they have like, they're still kids. So I'm trying to keep them kids. But I'm still bringing them on Saturday because I want them to know what the hell's going on. And so I asked them both. I was like, I'm sitting at the dinner table with them yesterday when I decided that I was going to go, because I was busy. Honestly, I've just been so busy, and I was like, I'm going to go, and because I have to get Dylan ready for Washington if he's going, and so I'm like, do you guys want to go to protest? And they're like, which protest? And so I told them, and Newsom's speaking. Can you look it up and see?
Yeah.
See, and I was like, the 5150 No Kings protest, and I was explaining what it was, and they're like, okay. And I was like, it's from 12 to 2 at the park. And he's like, and even my husband's gonna go. Which I was like, kind of if he was gonna go. And he said he was down. So it's gonna be a family affair. So yeah. Any idea why he's speaking? Is he possibly gonna be talking about the whole order? I'm assuming.
I would imagine he's
I would
responding
imagine.
to this. Yeah, hold
So
on, I'll look for it.
let's see. So if you haven't heard, a judge has ruled that Trump was outside of the law when he federalized the National Guard troops. Now, there is a difference. National Guard troops, once they're federalized, are no longer National Guard troops, and they become no longer National Guard troops. They can only protect buildings. They cannot they're not law enforcement officers. They're not allowed to touch you or anything like that. So if you see National Guard troops touching people, that's totally against the law. Adam Kinzinger was giving this explanation. While you find that, I can play a little bit of his explanation about the. Oh, you have it? Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Hold on. It's buffering at this time.
Okay, it's okay. But yeah, so basically what Adam Kinzinger was saying is you need to know the difference. He's like, it might be just a little technical thing, but you need to know the rules, about how much these federalized National Guard troops have over you. Okay, here we go.
Center. And anyone
My apologies.
States Center. And anyone that knows Alex Padilla knows one thing about Alex Padilla. He's one of the most mild-mannered, decent people you'll meet. And that's not, don't just take my word for it. Folks on the other side of the aisle would acknowledge that. I thought it was a disgrace. I want to make this clear. The National Guard will come back under by noon tomorrow.
Sweet.
The National Guard will be redeployed to what they were doing before Donald Trump commandeered them. The National Guard will go back to border security, working on counter-drug enforcement and fentanyl enforcement, which they were taken off by Donald Trump. The National Guard will go back to working on what we refer to as the rattlesnake teams, doing vegetation and forest management, which Donald Trump took them off in preparation for wildfire season. The National Guard, men and women, will go back to their day jobs, which include law enforcement, that he took them off the job. Just want you to all absorb what I just said. By the way, you don't have to absorb it. You'll have an opportunity to review that in the 36-page order from Justice Breyer that laid that out. And they'll come back under the rightful command of the governor of the state of California.
Let me know when you want me to dip out of this, Nikki.
It's a vulgar display.
No, let's just keep it.
It's the kind of thing you see Kim Jong-un, you see it Putin, you see it with dictators around the world that are weak and just want to demonstrate strength. Weakness masquerading as strength. To fet the dear leader on his birthday, what an embarrassment. Honestly, it's that's about as small as it gets.
I always like when he goes,
and with his little finger like that. It's great. It's like about as small as it gets.
In a vulgar display of weakness. That's Donald Trump.
Governor, you warned other states in your address the other night. What are the messages and conversations you've been having with those blue state leaders?
Well, these governors have all been waiting for this decision. I haven't had a chance to talk to any governors. And by the way, every Republican governor. I remember one of them by the name of Kristi Noem, who just a few months ago was on there with one of the spokespeople for the Trump administration, Sean Hannity, and was going on and on and on about a rumor that somehow former President Biden was going to federalize her national troop. And she stood there talking about freedom, and federalism, the 10th Amendment. And here she is, her folks throwing the United States Senator from the great state of California on the ground and handcuffing him in his office building in 2025.
Governor, what about the Marines? Were you disappointed that Judge Breyer would address that issue? Is that something that you expect to develop?
Well, there's been a lot of rhetoric from Pete Hegseth, that's his name, that they've quote unquote been deployed, but it doesn't appear they have been. But they were making you believe that. And so I think the judge was waiting for the evidence that they actually have been deployed into Los Angeles, which they appear not to be. Of course, they're not coordinating with anybody on this. So he's just waiting for that evidence. Obviously, they moved to another location for training exercises. But there's the bottom line. The police do policing. Military, it's for the battlefield.
Yep.
The idea that these unbelievably brave young men and women that I work with, that we have had the benefit of their extraordinary contribution all across this state. I gave you 3 examples. What more evidence do we need of the work they did during the wildfires in Los Angeles and all the work they did to secure locations and keep property and personal lives safe over the course of the last few months? These folks are now being commandeered to do ICE raids. You've seen the photographs. That ends tomorrow at noon. And the notion that the United States active duty Marines, these heroes, would be used to militarize the streets of an American city is an abomination. Founding fathers did not live and die to see that happen in this country for no reason whatsoever than vanity, theater, to instill fear, to incite a response. So I'm very hopeful this order puts that in perspective, and hopefully Donald Trump will immediately back down. The courts have ruled on the guard. They will be back under my command, and he'll be relieved. Donald Trump will be relieved of his command at noon tomorrow.
On that note, are you confident that the president and Secretary Hegseth will honor this order? And then you've also mentioned that you would try to work with the president in the past.
Of course.
Has this situation changed your dynamic with the
No,
president?
because I will work with anyone to advance the interests of 40 million Americans that I happen to represent here in California. And so I've always maintained an open hand, not a closed fist. But I also am going to stand firm and tall and push back against lawlessness, against someone that does not believe in the rule of law, does not believe in constraints. Does
Okay,
not
we
believe
can
in the
go.
Constitution.
Okay, so who
threatening
thinks in
judges,
the comments that Donald Trump is actually going to listen to this
threatens
order?
not to
Or
abide
as somebody
by
had
orders,
said,
and Donald Trump better abide by these orders.
that who thinks that Donald Trump's not going to listen to it? Who said it earlier that Donald Trump's just going to go wild this evening? I mean, I think that that's the scary thing, that Donald Trump could just, there we go, do a lot of damage by noon tomorrow is my fear. I mean, he could just say, round them all up, do something, round all the protesters up. I mean, hopefully the protesters go home. Who knows? Jim, thank you so much for the donation, by the way. Oh, sorry. There we go. Thank you, Jim.
Happy Thursday. Turned out that to be a happy Thursday, right? I mean, I'm glad this happens. I'm sorry that we have to go out in the street and raise our voices. I'm sorry that we're in this time. But I'm glad to see the courts, at least in this instance, are doing the right thing. And I feel like Governor Gavin Newsom, who I have maintained likely would not win a national election because I don't think he plays well in the Midwest, and we've already seen a California politician fall. He looked awfully presidential giving that speech against that granite wall, talking about the Constitution and what our founding fathers would have wanted. He says the things I want him to say in this particular instance.
I know. I still don't think he should run. I still don't.
Are you glad right now that he's in charge? I mean,
I'm glad that he's the governor of California.
I could be mad at him about PG&E, but right now, when the S hits the fan, thank the
I'm
Lord.
glad he's I'm glad he's the governor of California. I'm glad he's the governor at this moment in time. I think he's saying the right things at the right time. I think he's sending the absolute right message to the rest of the country. He is giving people, of other governors, the playbook, right? Teacher Lori, Trump will ignore. I'm scared that I think Trump's pissed. I'm waiting for the response from Donald Trump. I think he's going to ignore it possibly. But on the other hand, I could also see Trump turning to something else. I don't know. I mean, I hope. I mean, if you keep fighting it, is he going to fight it during his birthday? I mean, is he going to really focus on? I mean, his birthday is coming.
So, see, the mistake, although delicious, that Governor Newsom made here is challenging Trump's manhood with the, small and weak situation. And I think Trump, when you start, thrashing about and saying
little hands
and, small manhood or whatever else, then I think he gets angry. And the question is, do we want him angry? Because when he's angry, then he starts doing stuff like, trying to be all strong and badass and send the Marines to California. So I don't necessarily want to push his buttons. I just, as you say, want him to go away and focus on something else. I worry that maybe instigating the president is not the wisest choice.
Yeah, but I hate the fact that we have to be scared of that little man because he's an ass. Josh says he'll call the Proud Boys instead. I think he already has. I think a lot of these so-called ICE agents aren't really. They're wearing, they're not identified. They're showing up in unidentified cars. I think a lot of these. I don't believe that every single time we're seeing people rounded up. Did you see that hit and run? There was some sort of ICE agent that got in a hit and run accident and then took off in LA. And
I didn't see that.
Oh yeah. Got involved in an accident and the agent took off. Involved in a hit and run accident. I'm not thinking that all of this is on the up and up. I'm not saying they're Proud Boys. I don't know. I am just saying that Trump's going to be pissed no matter what. His birthday's also in 2 days, and I'm sure he wants to be focused on that. So maybe we'll see. I just think that it's obviously the law is on Newsom's side, so let that part go. The Marines would be quite a stretch to send in the Marines over the National Guard. You're not going to have the National Guard. Now you're going to send in the Marines. No, I just think it's dumb. So we'll see. But that's the latest news right now. By noon tomorrow, the National Guard is now under a California Governor Gavin Newsom's control. I don't know why we have to wait. Like, I don't understand why we have to wait. Is it like they got to have the ink dry or something? Like, why can't it be immediate? I never understand these things. Like, if the judge says it, why can't it just be immediate? Why?
You would think so, but I think they feel maybe they need to give time for commands to switch over. Like, I don't know what's entailed in the switch.
I don't know. I'm in charge now. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It is so stupid. But anyways, all right. That is our show. I wanted to talk about this real quickly though before I let you guys tomorrow. I am going to be going to Tony DiMaggio's. Now, if you are in San Jose, it is on Monterey Highway in San Jose. I'm going to play you this little this news story real quick. Okay, so don't hate me. It's not.
Is it named after the baseball player?
I don't know. I think it's
DiMaggio?
The DiMaggio family.
Joe DiMaggio. Okay, no,
it's not. It's not after the Joe DiMaggio family. It's the DiMaggio family. Okay. I'm going to play you this little story. So, and I'll show you a little bit of background. They're having a grand reopening tomorrow. I'm going to be there around 6:30-ish. If you guys want to go, you should support this local business because they've had a hard time reopening. So this is the story about how they were having a hard time reopening. Okay. This is Kron actually did a story on it. Here we go. This is like one of the owners here.
On the flat part is where the fire started.
Jack DiMaggio walks us around his family-owned restaurant of 50 years.
Yeah, my parents opened this when I was 8 years old. This is all I've done my whole life. Man, we used to, me and my brothers used to play sports right here in the parking lot and do homework on the tables. And then we'd get up and help my parents when it started getting busy and stuff, and just, lots of memories.
Serving up stromboli and pizza, a staple on San Jose's Monterey Road. But that all stopped last July when a botched air conditioning repair job resulted in a fire that nearly took out DiMaggio's.
Watching the fire and all that stuff with all these fire engines, I thought, man, this is the end. I thought for sure, this building was going to go down. But somehow we got lucky enough where the damage was minimal.
But it was the aftermath that kept the doors locked and the windows boarded up for nearly a year.
Between landlord and insurance companies and now construction company, it's just been a long process.
DiMaggio tells us a construction company called Blue Sky, hired by his landlord, has lagged for months.
They're not really telling us what's going on.
Yeah.
Still, hardly any work's been done. It only needed a new ceiling, and that's about it.
He estimates they've lost out on $600,000 in sales alone.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
From serving legends like 49ers owner and CEO Jed York and former Niners guard Mike Iupati, to being a spot for after-school sports and events. Now it's a shell, just waiting for the day when it can serve the community again.
I was hoping middle of May, but I don't think that's going to happen. So hopefully end of May, early June, but we're trying to keep people posted as much as we can with when we're going to get back open.
Well, we reached out to a company called Blue.
All right, so they are reopening. It's happening tomorrow. So they're on Monterey Highway. Look them up, Tony DiMaggio's. I will be there. So
What time are you going?
6:30ish. I'm thinking
Okay.
dinner time. So if you want to go, it's gonna be maybe a mini meetup. So anyways, if you want to meet with me, my husband's gonna go. I don't know if my kids are gonna go. It's summertime. My daughter drives now, so
How's that going?
she's like never home. She's like tanning with her friends, and so she might be there. She might not be there.
Julia
My
tried to
son's with his
tan.
girlfriend all the time, so I don't know. It might just be me and James. Who knows?
So we don't have the kind of skin in our family that tans. We turn red within maybe the first 10 minutes of the sun, and then
Right.
we very quickly burn. And
Okay.
Julia's convinced that she's going to get a tan this summer. But she doesn't
Oh,
want to be so translucently white. This is
okay.
this is a girl with red hair.
Red hair. Yeah. So
Right.
good luck, sweetie. Well,
And
why doesn't she fake
So
tan?
she put on her, she
Put on
tried that,
lipstick.
and it turned her elbows orange because she doesn't have the skill set down yet.
Oh.
So she goes outside and she falls asleep in the sun on her belly, and she burned her back and her tush and
Oh,
the
no.
back of her legs.
Oh no.
I said, "What are you thinking?" She's like, "I just thought I would lay out for a few minutes and get a little color." I'm like, "Well,
Now you have color.
you got
It's
some
not the right
color."
color. It's not the right
Yeah.
color. Well,
She's-
she has to find the right. They have some really good like fake tan lotion. You have
Mhm.
to get the mitt. I've never done it. Okay. But because obviously I tan. But they get mitts, like you have
Yeah.
mitts, so it makes it easier to put on. And they have fake tan that has no orange tint in it. So like
She had orange elbows and orange ankles and orange knees. All the
yes.
the places. I'm like, "No,
Right.
you can't put it
You have to,
there."
like,
Yeah.
you just put it, you avoid those areas, like maybe dab it a little bit so that's not,
Yeah.
but you could also just go in. They have the spray tan booths so the professional
Yeah.
can do it for you if she just wants the look and not the actual tan. So she could stay out of the sun but still get a color. I don't know, but I think it
I
would
don't know
look.
how much a spray tan costs, but I'm not willing to spend hundreds of dollars for a
Oh, I
15-year-old
don't think
to
I've
look
never done
brown.
it either, but I don't think it's that. I don't know idea. But yeah, definitely don't do a tanning booth. That's terrible for your skin. And
Mhm.
so is being in the sun if you're, very, very white. So
Right. Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. But anyways, Tony DiMaggio's tomorrow, 6:30ish. If you want to go, I'll be there having a stromboli with my husband. So but anyways, support your local businesses this summer. Okay, we will be back next week. I want to say some thank yous to all of you that have supported us. Apparently, one of our trolls also supported us.
Hey, we'll take that support.
Joe Petito.
Is that a troll?
Yeah, he was
Okay.
$2.79. He called us bad name. So, but anyways,
Oh.
thanks for the money.
I
Luis,
didn't know that was
what
a bad name. So okay.
yeah, well, if
That's
you say it, it's a Spanish bad name, so don't say it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, anyways. Luis, thank you for the $5 donation. We love you so much for the support. Then there's that guy. Also, Luis, also for another $5 donation. Love you, love you. And Sam, always love seeing you in the comments with a $10 donation. And Jim with a happy Thursday.
Thank you.
Youth with the $10 donation. We always love your guys' support. Patreon is always up. Go to thenikkimadoroshow.com. PayPal is another great way to support us. They don't take as much any from the top. So if you want to do PayPal, that's one of the best ways to support us, but we will always say Patreon as well. All of the links are in the show notes, and super chat, super stickers are always live as well, even if you watch us on the recording. And if you can't afford it, that's okay. Just give us a thumbs up, subscribe, share the show with your friends. We always love new viewers. All right, you guys, we will be here next Thursday. Grab your cocktail, grab your friends. We love you guys so much, and thank you for your support. And for those that can make it, I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.